Hello and welcome again to my drumming. This is part 5 and we're now moving on to a song from U2 called Vertigo. Now this is again slightly more complex than the previous song that we've looked at because there's a lot more patterns, they change around a lot more, and it's quite a quick song, so it's quite difficult to get all the patterns repeating over and over, make sure that the right one is being played. There's a lot of hi-hats, there's a lot of cymbals coming in, there's lots of different things all over the place. So although when we go through the individual rhythms that are being played, there's not much difference in them. There might be a cymbal crash here or a hi-hat here. You might not see the difference, but when they're put all together in the song, then you can really see the difference in them. So we'll start right from pattern 1. Now this is the beginning of the song. The beginning of the song comes in with 4 clicks on the sticks, and then everybody's in together with a cymbal crash and a bass drum beat. So the main beat throughout the song is, or when the hi-hats are being played, is one bass drum on the 1 and then the next bass drums on the 5 and the 6. So the pattern that we looked at right at the beginning, which is with the U2 song, it's much faster than that. It's played a lot faster, and at the opening of the song the 1 beat is played on the cymbal as well, so it's at that speed. It then goes into another 8, so bass drum on the 1, the 5 and the 6, snare drum on the 3 and the 7. And then the next one, so that was pattern 2 on the music that appears in the video. Pattern 3 is then with a hi-hat thrown in. So putting the 3 of them together and slowed down, it sounds like this. And that's the 3 of them together. Now, throughout a lot of the song, there's variations of that. There's pattern 2 with no cymbal and no hi-hat played, then pattern 3, then pattern 2, then maybe pattern 1 because the cymbal comes back in again. And as you see on the music, it's all written out so you can see which one is played whenever. And that's the introduction to the song. We then go into the verse of the song, which is a beat that's played on the floor tom. Now, just before that, there's an introduction, which is, again, another count of 8. The bass drum is being played on the 1, the 4 and the 6, and snare drums are played on the 3, the 5 and the 7. So it sounds like this. Again. That then brings you into the verse of the song, and the verse of the song starts like with the beginning of the song with a cymbal crash first. So pattern 5 will start and then, like with the first part of the song, we see a cymbal crash bringing the beat in. Then there's a pattern of 4 played without any cymbals. Then after that's played round 3 times, there's a double snare drum beat on the 3 and the 4. So what it sounds like is this. Moving into the chorus now, this is a bit more complicated because it's a lot longer. Again, right at the beginning of the drum tutorials in part 1, we had the Snow Patrol song Run, and instead of being over an 8 count, it was 2 lots of 8. So the rhythm that's played in the chorus is going to be done over 2 lots of 8 as well. Now the first part of this, we've got a cymbal crash on the 1 and the 8. We have snare drums being played on the 3 and the 7, bass drums being played on the 1, the 5, the 6 and the 8, and a hi-hat on the 7. Now that sounds loads, and when you look at it, it looks like there's a lot going on, and it is because there is, it's not an easy pattern to pick up. And that is then followed by the next count of 8, which is very similar to the first rock beat that we played, but instead of the bass drum coming in on 1, 2, 3, 4, it comes in on the 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I'll now do is I'll play that through slowly so you can hear how it goes, not at the tempo of the song, just to see exactly how it sounds. Now in the chorus that is played through about 3.5 times. I say 3.5 times because instead of the second 8 being played, it then just moves to the outro piece of the chorus where the snare drum is done 3 times. We called it pattern 4 earlier. For the purposes of the music that's showing in the video, this is as pattern 9, just so they appear on the same slide. So pattern 9 is effectively pattern 4, but just so you can see it easily, it's done on the same slide. Pattern 8 sounds like this. After pattern 8 is played 3.5 times, pattern 9 comes in. As I mentioned earlier, pattern 9 is the same as pattern 4. Bass drums on the 1, the 4 and the 6, snare drums on the 3, the 5 and the 7. So something we've looked at earlier, but it's just more of an outro rhythm to what's being played to move into the next part of the song. Pattern 10 is a really nice pattern that appears towards the end of the song after a couple of verse and choruses, and it's again a 2 block of 8. Now in the first part of it there's snare drums played on the 1, the 4 and the 7, with bass drums being played on the 2, 3, 5, 6 and 8. And in the second block of 8, snare drums are played on the 2, 5 and 7, with bass drums being played on the 1, 3, 4, 6 and 8. And just to complicate matters, there's a cymbal crash on the 1. Now, the snare drum or the bass drum is playing all the time, as well as the hi-hat being played. There's not any beats where the snare drum or bass drum aren't playing along with the hi-hat. So it's quite a tricky one to get right with counting it and making sure that you get it all in the right place. But put together and slowed down, it sounds like this. So that was 3 times through, as it's played in the song. And when you play it at the speed that the song goes, it just sounds great. It's a great part of the song, really good fun to play. The final 2 patterns in the song are probably the simplest that we've learnt yet. But because they're played at I say it's a different speed, it's not really a different speed, but where we're doing this a lot and the hi-hat's going quite quickly, the hi-hat is slowed down, so it's just bum, 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 bum on this. There's no faster hi-hat, so it's It is a simple rhythm, but it's difficult again to throw into the song because it is a slowed down pattern. Now, on the 4 count, the bass drum is played on the 1 and the 3, and the floor tom is played on the 2 and the 4, and then hi-hats 1, 2, 3, 4. So it sounds like this. And then the very final bit, pattern 12, is a simple crash and a bass drum. That might actually be the simplest pattern of the whole song because it's just one beat on its own, but there you go. So there's all of the patterns played through from this song. Again, it's much harder to play the song through than just those patterns because the song is a lot faster. And when you're looking at the music and trying to play them through and get the right one played at the right time, it takes a lot of practice. So here is the song in its entirety, and hopefully you can read the music and look at what's being played, listen to what's being played and play along, and that'll help you get it. So good luck, here it comes. So I think that was pretty much there. I think I missed a snare drum beat at one point. I hit the rim instead of the actual snare drum, but I think that was pretty much there. So I hope you like it, I hope you learn from listening to it, and I hope you can play along to it. So thanks very much, I'll see you soon.